The Houston Rockets defeat the Atlanta Hawks 121-114 and are officially the second seed with 9 games remaining. Are the Houston Rockets playoff ready? Let's talk about it. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Summit State of Mind, presented to you by the Apollo Podcast Network and powered by J-Bar M, the greatest and best barbecue in the city of H-Town. Be sure to check them out. The best barbecue, once again, in the entire city of Houston. In this episode, we're going to discuss the Rockets defeating the Atlanta Hawks. We're also going to discuss the Rockets' magic number to avoid the play-in. And, of course, we're also going to discuss if the Houston Rockets are playoff ready. So, GM, how we doing tonight? Look. Let me just show you right now. First of all, 2 surprises, at least for the guests. 1 surprise, I'm here.
Shocker.
I'm here. Shocker. I think I've been in like 2 episodes in the last like 3 months.
Yeah.
So that's shocker number 1. Shocker number 2, I'm wearing the brand new H-Town versus Everyone t-shirt available tomorrow at Cobos Q exclusively for Houston Astros opening day and available this Sunday on the 30th, exclusively available on ApolloHOU.store. So be sure to check us out to be sure to check it out. And I'll include the link in the description too, just so y'all can see it. GM, how we doing tonight? How we feeling? Houston Rockets, second seed in the West. Dude, 47-26.
Yes.
9 games left in the season. Come on.
It's kind of crazy to think about it. The 9 games left. We're in single digits now. We're the second seed. I did not expect us to be this high.
I expected us
towards
to
the
be this
end
high.
of the season. But we've won 10 out of 11 games. We're one of the few teams left at the top of the West winning games still. So I'll take that. I'm very happy. The Rockets are winning. The Rockets are going strong, moving towards playoff time. So I'm all about it. I'm very happy, and I'm really curious to see how these guys perform come playoff time.
I'm excited. I'm so excited right now that the proverbial goosebumps, shout-outs to the final boss, are percolating in the veins. I'm very excited. Houston Rockets are literally positioned to be in the 2025 playoffs. What are we doing? Houston Rockets are so damn back.
Yes, we are.
Let's talk about it. The Houston Rockets ultimately did defeat the Atlanta Hawks 121-114, had a 20-point lead going into the fourth quarter, led on the back of Jalen Green, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 14 of 24 shooting. Jalen Green, once again, with another master class to lead the Houston Rockets ultimately to a victory. GM, the thought of the Houston Rockets, look, they had the 9-game win streak. They lost ultimately to Denver, a Jokic-less Denver, which I did not expect them to lose, but they did lose. If Atlanta came back the way they came back in that fourth quarter and were to beat Houston, that would have just been the ultimate backbreaker, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The Houston Rockets, it was a microcosm, in my opinion, of this entire season of the Rockets' never say die attitude to power through, knowing they had the 20-point lead going into the fourth. It dwindled to as low as 4.
Yeah,
it got to as close as 4.
I didn't anticipate
right,
that.
And then, of course, Jabari Smith doing what he does, obviously, my son. 2 straight threes.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically, along with Jalen Green, ultimately led this team to a very huge victory, which kept the other teams behind the 3 and 4 seed, the Denver Nuggets, the Memphis Grizzlies, at bay. Considering that we're 2 games ahead of Denver now, and I think we're 2.5 to 3 ahead of Memphis.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts, though, of the Rockets versus Hawks?
I mean, the game was as expected in terms of the blowout for 3 quarters. The unexpected part was the comeback from Atlanta.
Yeah, shouts to Terrence Mann. My second favorite Terrence Mann.
Who was the one who was in?
My first Terrence Mann is Field of Dreams.
Oh, Jesus.
Shout out to Terry Mann.
No, dude, like,
rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Daniels, my man, hits like a few threes at the end of the game to kind of get it close. Shout out to Trae Young and Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels should be MIP. I saw DJ's tweet earlier today over Cade Cunningham. I know you love Cade.
Shout out to Australia.
I think Dyson Daniels is definitely most improved player. That's just me. But it just kind of, like you stated, right, in terms of the comeback and the way the Rockets closed out the game, a microcosm of the season. To me, I'll even extend it further. That's just normal Houston Rockets games in general. Ever since we've been alive, teams that we are playing especially for like beating them really big in the fourth quarter, tend to come back and make the team look not so hot. But I mean, there were a lot of things that go together of that. Like Jalen Green had such a great all-around game. Amen Thompson sat out, so we got to see more.
A smart sit down, by the way. A smart
Absolutely.
last second DNP, because I need Amen Thompson to be ready for the playoffs. I'm sorry. They can, if you're against teams under 500, sit Amen Thompson.
Yeah,
like respectfully.
no, I completely agree.
I need Amen Thompson 100. I need that ankle 100% come playoff time. I'm sorry, and then you can empty the tank from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to be desired in terms of us moving forward after last night's game. But when I say that, I'm touching it lightly in terms of like everything. I think the Rockets are really starting to find their stride, but I think it's more so kind of ironing out the corners and kind of figuring out. I've said this all year, frankly. But I think that as we move forward towards the end of the season, we'll get tested by good teams, but also we'll have a little cupcake games in the schedule. Or not cupcake, trap games is what we call them.
We call them trap games because we tend to fall into the trap games.
The Rockets do it all the time.
Shoutouts to all the traps everywhere. Trap music.
Yikes. Shout out to our boy John Trap.
Shoutouts to the trap cards from Yu-Gi-Oh. Also great shit. Fantastic. I won countless games in elementary school.
Yikes.
Throughout that. GM, before like we move on, I do also want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks Rockets game. Just basically Jalen Green, I just want to throw a quick spotlight on him, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, not most improved player by any means, but another prime example of Jalen Green when he contorts the game to his will. You see the way he can take over. You see that superstar potential. And at year 4 for Jalen Green to be able to do this late in the season, like this isn't, we're not trying to win game number 24 of the season. No, hovering around the 14th seed. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is every game from here on out, no matter who we face, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The stakes get higher, considering that there's no, like, it's not like OKC. They're not 12 games ahead. They didn't clinch the first seed. They didn't clinch the second seed. There are just 2 games separating. Every game counts. Every game matters. Jalen Green is truly showing now, as the games get tighter, his ability to be that guy in that moment, and why the Houston Rockets ultimately paid him that much money to ultimately be the guy to take over when it matters. Because when these games tend to shrink, you need that perimeter player to take over, and that's exactly what Jalen Green did. Shoutouts to him. The Houston Rockets did defeat the Atlanta Hawks. I do not want to talk about the Atlanta Hawks too much because I don't really care much about them, considering that they're in the Eastern Conference. And they don't mean anything to us. We basically took care of business. You know what I mean? Took care of business. Moving on right now. GM, right now for the people, let them know Houston Rockets are sitting at a certain magic number. Let the people know, what magic number are they currently sitting on right now to avoid the play-in?
The magic number is 4. So we
Shout out to the 4 horsemen.
4 horsemen.
Horse bros.
What a freaking legendary group of men.
What a badass, like, just to hold that 4 up. Don't you feel powerful when you hold that 4 up?
I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I feel powerful.
And also, shout out to Zilla, the 4th rope champ.
4th row?
4th rope.
Not the first, not the second, not third, but the 4th. Hello.
But yes, the Rockets have 4 games left as their magic number to clinch their spot outside of the play-in, but as a top 6 seed. And to think about the possibility of the Rockets being a top 6 seed was out of the realm of possibility. Start the year, I mean, granted, we did say 50 wins, but I thought that the West was going to be a bloodbath, and it still is. We're 2 games ahead.
Yeah, we're literally only 2 games ahead.
I expected more victories at the top, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so pretty even.
Yes.
Pretty even.
So, I mean, that's kind of all part of it. But as a top 6 seed, not having to worry about these silly one-game playoffs is a huge deal considering where we were last year and the past few years. And, like, I'm going to stick to my prediction. I said it in the last episode with DJ. We clinched Sunday against the Lakers. And, the Warriors are on a downspin. Jimmy Butler laid an egg last night. I just think that the Rockets will find a way to clinch it Sunday evening. That's just me. That's my prediction. But the feeling overall is like, I'm just very happy. And I'm very impressed. Like, it's hard to really fathom in terms of being a Rockets fan and where we've been the last 5 years, going from the bubble with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, to the ultimate lows of lows, and drafting all of these talented young players to where we are now with Ime Udoka leading the charge. It's a feeling that we are familiar with as fans, if you've been fans for as long as we have. But to endure what we've endured in terms of the losses piling up and the whole rebuild, this is something that I'm just extremely, extremely proud of.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately what this boils down to, in terms of the magic number being 4 with 9 games remaining, is the Houston Rockets have kind of proven that not only are they worth talking about, but they are achieving that notoriety now that the nation has now recognized, where the likes of Stephen A. Smith are now uttering the words Houston Rockets that are not a joke. That this is a team to actually be reckoned with.
Yes.
In terms of their ability to get offensive rebounds, in terms of their ability to grind it down on defense. The new grindhouse in terms of what this team is.
Grindhouse.
I mean, in terms of what this team has been able to do.
Yeah.
This team, like it's so funny. Like we ultimately need we'll talk about the next subject, obviously, but their ability right now this season does carry over into playoffs to a degree. That defense will carry over. So there's enough staying power on this team currently where they can not just hold on to that number 2 seed, but they can make noise in the playoffs. So having that magic number being 4, and I do agree with you, I think they can ultimately clinch on Sunday. Obviously, it bars on the Denver losses, on Memphis losses as well, which can also help us in our cause. We don't need to win 4 in a row. We don't need to win, the next 4 per se.
You see some of these teams on the bottom of the
right. At some point, someone's going to play the role of spoiler. So I'm hoping that the teams that do play against the teams like the Lakers and the Grizzlies and the Denver Nuggets, they ultimately take care of business. But so proud of the Houston Rockets on how far they've come ultimately from the season and getting that recognition now of knowing that this team isn't a joke. This team has garnered this success and was ultimately, in my opinion, and I called this in the beginning of the season, I called them to be the surprise of the season. I thought this team was going to be the surprise. This team was going to be, I remember a couple of years ago, it was like the Portland Trailblazers weren't expected to be anything. Portland Trailblazers ended up making that big leap that no one anticipated. OKC, another team that, a year or two ago that no one anticipated, ended up making a giant leap. Like, the Rockets are that team now.
Yep.
Where we're not expected to do anything. Hover around the play-in, 7, 8, 9 seed. Fuck, dude, we're the number 2 team in the frickin' Western Conference. A goddamn gauntlet by any means. The fact that we're in there, it shows how good this team has been and how forward they are moving. GM, I do also want to touch up on a key to basically what drives this team moving forward with 9 games remaining.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit off air, and you did discuss who you think could be like the keys here. In your opinion, you already know what I'm leading to, brother.
I know exactly where you're leading.
Am I leading you into another trap? Shoutouts to Yu-Gi-Oh! Another trap card action right here. So who's the key here? Who's the key here for the 9 games that are remaining? Mm-hmm. Who's the key for the Houston Rockets to propel them?
My key is, it's not just including the 9
Yeah,
games.
tell me. Please tell me.
My key for the playoffs, that Jabari Smith Jr. needs to go back to the starting lineup.
Really?
Just my opinion.
Oh, my gosh.
In terms of half-court offense, we need a little bit more shooting, especially outside shooting. Jabari Smith Jr. has been the staple of consistency since he's returned. I mean, a little length on the defensive end. I mean, I'm not trying to discount the type of player that Tari Eason has been in the starting lineup. But I do believe that Jabari should be the guy in the lineup. And, I don't just think Tari shouldn't be there either. I just think he'd be a lot more effective off the bench. But personally, for me, I kind of want to see a men start over Fred.
Oh, dang. Okay, we're calling it.
I want to be fully committed.
Oh,
I want the lineup of
man.
Amen, Jalen.
Bow and arrow to the chest.
Yes, Dylan, Jabari, and Alperen Şengün. That's kind of what I want to see in terms of a starting lineup. I know that a lot of people might not feel like that's a confident group, but last night's game, and the funny thing is, it has nothing to do with Jabari, Jalen Green last night made me feel extremely confident about that kind of lineup being in use because we've seen the struggles with him with Fred out and the type of player that he has become since Fred has come back. It's alleviated pressure in terms of little things, but 30-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, the way he's been dishing out the ball with Fred out and Fred back, like, it just shows so much about the growth of that young man and the greatness that is eluding him in the playoffs. I think that even though the team could be ready, I just think that Jabari's a better weapon with the starting five. Just me, just my opinion.
No, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. I'm a Jabari
Spit
guy.
it.
I'm a
Well,
Jabari guy.
you're a Jabari guy, so I get it. Yes, I just think that
Jabari should get all the shots. He's a starter.
Hey, bro. Hey, man. Let's relax there. Let's relax there. I do think
He needs
that
to
the
shoot
man,
at least 20 shots.
Yikes! He's gotta have like 10 attempts from three, like every game.
He'll make 4.
He's gotta have the Dylan Brooks.
It's fine.
trigger.
He'll make 4.
Fair.
He'll make 4.
Which is good.
He'll give you at least 12
That's already
points.
an automatic 12.
Yeah, that's 12 points.
I don't know, man. To me, I think that the way the team is playing and then the way that the half-court offenses are in the playoffs, the defenses, the way that they defend, I think Jabari just holds more value.
I agree.
If you ask me, that's just how I feel.
I agree. And I think Jabari ultimately being in that starting lineup should ultimately be the correct move going into the playoffs. If you're talking about players that come in, Tari's mobility and ability to change the pace of the game while being a pest on defense is just tailor-made for the bench. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's tailor-made for coming off the bench when there's like 6 minutes left in the first, 5 minutes left in the first to kind of change the pace of the game, or if players get into foul trouble early. Right, exactly. So it's not a knock on Tari as much as it is for Jabari to ultimately open the spacing when playoffs come around because the court tends to shrink.
It's a term of effectiveness.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So obviously, but if Jabari goes 0-5 to start the game from 3, then obviously you start thinking of other things. But as a starter, you put Jabari in, you let him see what he can do, and more importantly, you let him kind of help dictate that offense to open up the floor for an Alperen Şengün in the post to do something either in the midi, in the post action, or to give Jalen some room to operate at the top of the key, because knowing these guys can't double off and leave Jabari, or they can't double off and leave Dylan. Like, you have to make every three-point shooter respectable that's on the floor. Dylan, defenders are starting to understand it now. They're not leaving Dylan as much. Fred obviously is kind of always a threat. Amen, they'll leave. Amen is one that they'll leave.
Of course.
And Tari's one that they'll leave. Jabari's one that they won't leave. So that's why I think that Jabari needs to be on the floor ultimately.
It'll allow Jalen and Alpri to be more successful.
Another key ultimately going into the playoffs would be in spurts and in matchups is that double big lineup.
Oh man, I'm all for the double big.
Yeah, the Alp and Steven Adams Steven Adams alone has so much in the tank right now. He's 31 years old. People are thinking like, oh, he's on his last legs. I'm like, brother, he is 31. He's probably got at least 2 or 3 years left. Resign that guy, which I'm pretty certain they're going to resign him.
I really hope so.
No, they're going to resign him. They need a backup big.
Really do.
They need a backup big. His effectiveness on the floor. He's basically giving you Boban-like spiritualness in the locker room.
Fair.
With the ability to actually like really perform as a sustainable role player on the team. By the way, if you decide to clip that, you're welcome. But
shout out to Steven Adams.
So,
shout out to our New Zealand fans.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to all my New Zealand fans everywhere. I love New Zealand. But so ultimately double big in my opinion I think is also great.
Yeah.
GM, let's go ahead and move on to our last topic. But before we do, obviously, I want to give a shout out and add to our awesome sponsor, J Bar M.
Yes.
Give it to him one time.
Everyone, make sure to go visit J Bar Barbecue, where you can find the best barbecue in the city of Houston. Minutes from Toyota Center, walking distance. Make sure to go by there. Daily specials, the best happy hour, $5 margaritas, $10 3 street tacos, and margarita specials for everybody. There is something there for everyone. I promise you, you will not be disappointed when you make a visit to J Brown Barbecue.
Every time I eat it, I say to myself, "Holy pokey," because it is delicious. Every time.
Shout out to Gumby, his best friend. Pokey.
Shout outs to Gumby, and shout outs to all poke places everywhere. Because I do love I love poke too.
I love poke too.
I do too. But
this is a barbecue spot.
Yes, I know, but I also love my barbecue. But yeah, no, be sure to check them out. Once again, J Bar, delicious.
Absolutely.
Just a couple minutes to walk from Toyota Center.
Well, let me announce this real quick.
Are you going to announce something?
Posted. We're going to announce it.
We are announcing.
We will be doing a pregame happy hour, April 2nd. The Houston Rockets versus the Utah Jazz.
There's something happening that night.
We will be doing that. That is Filipino Heritage Night.
Snaps.
And the commish and the GM will be in the building.
We will be in the building.
Be there. So,
shout out to our Filipino fans everywhere that are listening.
Shout out to everyone,
Woo!
all our Filipino fans in America and in Philippines.
Hey, all of y'all are my love. Mahal kita. One time.
Oh, wow. My man had to bust out the Tagalog. Yeah, just everyone make sure to come out, hang out with us at J Bar and Barbecue. Come enjoy the best barbecue, the best happy hour, and then we'll all make the walk over to Toyota Center before the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It will be.
And I did know. I just had to play it off like I didn't know, like Home Alone or something.
Yes,
I wanted to play it off like I didn't know. Like I was like, what?
That is happening. Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff happening, guys. Be sure to check that out. Let's go ahead and move on right now. Last subject: are the Houston Rockets playoff ready? Look. 47-26. It's a fantastic record, higher than we've ever could have imagined with 9 games left in the season. Mm-hmm. They can ultimately win another 10 in a row here and go 56 wins. You never know.
Yikes.
But
that'd be amazing.
The Rockets are the second seed, 9 games remaining, 2 games ahead of Denver.
Yeah.
There's some breathing room now. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of fans, a lot of NBA fans, I'm not calling them Rockets fans, NBA fans that are calling this team, that want us and are calling this team posers, or calling this team fakes.
It's obnoxious.
Being the fakest second seed ever.
The fakest second seed ever.
Yeah. So ultimately, GM, my question for you is: are the Houston Rockets, as of this moment, are they playoff ready? Do you think ultimately they will be ready come playoff time?
I believe so. I believe this team will be playoff ready because they're built for it. I mean, granted, we are still a young team. We've been called sneaky contenders. We've been seen as a team that could potentially be eliminated in the first round, depending on the team that we do end up facing. But I believe that the team is prepared. We have the right coach. And we got the guys that feel like they're just fearless. Granted, I want Jabari Smith Jr. in the lineup.
Wow, we're going back to that agenda.
I think that's the best playoff lineup.
I agree.
To be fair.
Yeah.
But I think that the overall roster is absolutely prepared.
I agree. And you know what? Are you ready for my thesis? Because I have a lengthy thesis like
am I ready
1001 holds of Jericho.
Oh,
One time.
God.
I have my thesis. Ladies and gentlemen, your Houston Rockets are the second seed. Whether you like to split it up or not, we are the second seed, which means we're the top seed, which means game 1 happens in Houston. So as the number 2 seed, you're the bullies. So let the bullies bully. That's all we got to do. I don't care who we face.
Yeah.
Because when you're the second seed, you're going to go against the team that's going to be in a bloodbath of a play-in. They have to play in the play-in, whether it's Minnesota, the Clippers. I honestly, look, at the end of the day, you're either going against a surefire Hall of Famer in James Harden. You're going against an emerging superstar, he's already a superstar, in Anthony Edwards. Like, you're going to be going against players that are
game changers.
If you put 10 players on the court and Houston is on the other side, chances are the best players on the other team. Individually.
That's an unfortunate truth.
Yeah, the best players on the other team.
Yeah.
You know this. We admit this.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap about this. Even if Phoenix sneaks into that spot, which they won't, because they're the 9-10 seed.
They won't.
So ultimately, it doesn't matter to me. The Rockets are the number 2 seed. Let the bullies bully. There's a reason why that they are where they are. They're one of the tops in defense. They're the best offensive rebounding team in basketball. These are ultimately two pieces that are recipes for success come the playoffs. The argument that everybody has is that the Houston Rockets do not have a closer come playoff time. They don't have a Kevin Durant. They don't have a James Harden. They don't have an Anthony Edwards. They don't have a Jokic. They don't have that guy that they can go to come crunch time to win you one of 4 games to advance to another round. That's what they believe.
Yeah.
But the Rockets ultimately can win a game or two just by being stifling on defense and being the great offensive rebounding team that they are and be the pests that they are. That's the reason why they've won 47 games this season.
Yep.
That stuff carries over in the playoffs because, like I've said it 1,000 times on the show, the court shrinks. And when the court shrinks, it actually plays to the Rockets' favor in terms of defense. Defense being the key word.
Yeah.
Offense, whole nother story. Fred's probably gonna chuck a couple shots in the playoffs. It's gonna make everybody question their existence.
I don't want to think about that.
But the defense, I guarantee you, will win us at least 1 or 2 games. The defense alone will win us at least 1 or 2 games. And that's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about the unknown of the playoffs. Jalen Green could average 30. You never know.
Yeah.
Alperen Şengün could average 35. You never know. It's just an invitation to the dance to prove who is ready come playoff time.
Yeah.
And the stars will be stars. And that's the thing.
That's how it is.
The emerging stars will be the emerging stars. Devin Booker had a coming out party a couple of years ago when he was emerging. Anthony Edwards 2 years ago before that. So this is a perfect showcase for a Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün and Amen Thompson even, Jabari Smith to a degree, to ultimately be that guy. We know what Fred is. We know what Dylan is. We know that they're going to do it. But this is such an exciting opportunity for the young guns to prove that they belong on this stage on that high of a seed as the second seed. So GM, at the end of the day, this is what matters. You're the number 2 seed. Fans, you're the number 2 seed. Let the bullies bully. The parade on Polk Street is going to happen. I don't know about this year. The parade on Polk Street, it's coming.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. I was going to say parade's over prospects. But I do love my prospects.
Yikes.
But
we have plenty of them.
We have plenty of them. Shouts to Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Yo. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know we're talking about execution come playoff time. And you mentioned 2 of the names.
Fred.
Alperen Şengün, Jalen Green. My question to you is, I know you said 2 games in which you can win literally off stifling defense, rebounding, and just being effective.
Yep.
But do you think that there will be games in the playoffs where we will have to have a big game out of Alpi and or Jalen?
Are we talking about or both of them together in one game having big games?
It can be where they both produce really well, or where it's like Jalen has to go 15 for 27.
I think for the Rockets to ultimately win the series, they need effective games out of at least one of them. I think
both guys naturally have to average at least 22 to 25 points a game. Both.
Right.
Both guys.
But you just never know, GM, because that's the thing. The 94 finals, you can have a Sam Cassell-like appearance. Someone can come out and just drop a 30-burger. Just drop a 30-burger. That's the thing. That's been the whole mantra of the Rockets this season. Sometimes you, sometimes me, always us.
I think that mantra does not work in the playoffs, but I respect it.
I agree with you, too. I agree with you to a certain extent.
Fans are going to hate me for that.
Well, I agree. Work. No, but I agree to a certain extent. But I think Jalen and or Şengün, one of them needs to have an effective game. Yeah. Both of them need to have an effective game for the Rockets to have a shot to win the series. And I'm talking every single game. If neither of them, if they shoot a combined 10 of 45, which can happen, which could happen. That's a big fat L. That's a big fat L, most likely. It's going to be one of the L's that they'll take. But ultimately, Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, the lights are brightest. We paid him that max money.
Yep.
Show me what you're made of.
Exactly.
So this is the ultimate, shout outs to Mr. Litmus test. Mr. Litmus himself. This is the real litmus test.
That's
officially now for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah. No.
And proving ultimately. What do you think? Do you think that obviously you agree that Jalen Green and one of Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün have to have like top-notch games.
Absolutely. I think that this is their coming out party. Alperen Şengün is an all-star. We've seen it. He was brought in by the coaches. He needs to absolutely be consistent in the playoffs.
I agree.
We need it.
Yeah.
When the game slows down in the half court, Alp's that guy. And I think that it's going to be on him to ensure that he stays effective in the paint and to also stay effective on the defensive end. I just believe that the man can do it. The only thing I'm worried about with Alp is his free throw shooting. I think everyone is concerned with that, especially in the fourth quarter when it pertains to his fatigue. That is certainly an issue, but I think everybody misses free throws. I'm not just singling out Alp, but his is more of the focus because of the percentages.
I can feel the gray hair coming.
It's all
I can literally feel it.
I think that Jalen...
I can feel the anxiety.
He's going to... Oh, man, I'm having a hard time really configuring what to expect in terms of expectations from Jalen.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I think it might vary based on matchup. I think that matchup should favor Alp in terms of any team we play against outside of, like, maybe Denver. But even then, he still dominates against Jokic to an extent. For Jalen, I think that he's carrying this kind of confidence where he is carrying the team and he is dominating possessions now, and we're starting to really see his success in the half court. I think that if everything plays out correctly, we'll be seeing a culmination of a duo. And if we include a trio of guys that really show out and prove their type of impact come into the playoffs. I mean, Amen doesn't need to have, 18 points. I think that if he puts up 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks, I think that's the kind of game that Amen will have in terms of his best effectiveness. Because a lot of his defense isn't shown on the stat sheet. But if he's able to play against the best perimeter player, or if he's also roaming and you let Dylan Brooks take over as playing the best perimeter player, I think there's so many different ways in which Amen Thompson can be effective. Overall, I think that the Rockets will do it. We're gonna be prepared. I think the team will perform.
Let the bullies bully.
I think that
they're the number 2 seed.
Nationally, people will be surprised.
Yes, let the bullies bully. You're literally the number 2 seed in the conference. You're the second best team in the Western Conference.
It's true.
Be a bully.
It's true.
You're the bullies. You guys are not. You're not Marty McFly. You're Biff Tannen. Be Biff Tannen.
Yikes. Be Biff Tannen.
Don't be actually Biff Tannen.
No, don't be a bully.
Don't be Biff Tannen.
Biff Tannen is a bully.
Actually, I take it back. Be more Marty McFly, because Marty McFly is freaking fly. So, one of my favorite characters in movie cinema history, by the way. Shout-outs to Michael J. Fox. Let's go ahead and close this episode one time, GM. Give the people what they want one time. Since I'm the host, I get to kick it off to you. So, come on.
Man. So follow me on all socials at JP_Mirabueno. Make sure to follow our podcast on Twitter at Summit, SOMPOD. Follow us on Instagram at SummitStateOfMind_POD. Make sure to follow our people, our brothers, our family, over at Apollo HOU on all platforms. But do not forget, you got to. I need you to pull off that elbow pad. Shout out to the final boss. And do a people's elbow on that subscribe button on YouTube.
Don't actually do that. You can break your phone.
Or
the proverbial elbow.
We're at 14.2 thousand subs. Let's try to get to 14.3, even 14.5. I beg of you.
Don't beg.
Our followers, our viewers.
Just like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
That's it.
Please subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe on our videos. It helps move the algorithm moving forward.
Absolutely.
You can also follow me on Twitter at Summit Commish. Once again, wrap this up in a bow. Another great episode. Rockets are gearing up for the playoffs. We're going to be with you every step of the way to bring you the best coverage that we can, to provide the best content that we can for your number 2 seed, Houston Rockets. I'm going to end this show as I end every show that I am in, because I'm not in every show. It's go Summit, go Apollo, and 8765432 seed Houston Rockets. Go Rockets. GM, say the thing.
Yeet.
Yeet. No yeet. Goddamn